Marauders for the Month by Lishiee. Chapter 5 New Discoveries. The girls had decided, at their impromptu meeting on the hill outside, to meet tomorrow after dinner to plan another prank, and were then headed off to class. Mary and Pandora left for divination, waving their goodbyes as they walked in the opposite direction. Marlene and Lily were headed off to Dada. They shuffled through the crowded halls, Marlene gripping onto Lily's robes as Lily weaved them through the crowds. The hallways were always very difficult to navigate, with the sheer amount of students who decided to walk in groups. Lily safely pulled them into the classroom with 5 minutes to spare. She made sure they were always early to class. Marlene ran over to her usual spot by Peter. The girl sat down and turned around to talk with James and Sirius. Lily walked over to her spot in the front of the class by Remus. He was reading a different book than the one he had been reading in the common room on Saturday. He was an extremely fast reader. The boy glanced up and smiled when he saw her. His smile fell slightly when he noticed the scowl on Lily's face. Remus slowly put his bookmark in the book and placed it on the desk. "Remus John Lupin!" Lily whisper yelled. She placed her textbook on the desk, trying very hard to not slam onto the desk. What did I do?" His eyes started to grow wide. "Your mysterious magical creature's partner? What's her name?" Lily asked innocently. The boy eyed her suspiciously before answering. "Pandora? She's a Ravenclaw in the year below." Remus, you have eyes. So I ask you this. Why am I still trying to wrap my head around this? Did you not and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. Did you not inform me of her existence?" Lily's voice slowly grew as she spoke. Remus gaped at her. "Lily, you literally told me you weren't dating until after we graduate," he said, sounding somewhat confused about why Lily was riled up. Lily took a deep breath before responding. "I'm going to strangle you and my past self." She flopped onto her seat, pulling her hair up into a ponytail before placing her head back in her hands. Remus chuckled, reaching over and tugging on her ponytail playfully. "How'd you meet her?" he questioned after silence had passed between them. "Oops." Lily had not thought of how she would answer that question. He was bound to ask that if she talked about the other girl. How exactly was she going to bring up that they met because Pandora brought her the map that Remus and his friends had been looking for almost 4 days? She was looking for you, actually. Needed help with her care of magical creatures homework. Marlene ended up helping her with it. Lily answered swiftly. "That ought to do." "When was this?" he asked, seemingly confused, and rightfully so. If there was one place that Remus spent most of his time, it was the library. "Saturday morning." Lily lightly pulled her fingers apart to see his reaction. His eyes lit up in recognition, and he hummed. Lily picked her head up out of her hands and turned to look at him. "What were you looking for anyway?" She knew he wouldn't actually tell her they were looking for the map. More than likely the boys have had the map for years, meaning he has kept it from her for years. Why would that change now? Anyway, she just wanted to know what excuse he would use. "Sirius lost his data essay," he replied immediately. "Definitely rehearsed." "Looked a bit frantic for you two to be searching for homework," Lily replied innocently, trying oh so very hard to not smirk. Remus seemed to start to panic a bit, because Lily was extremely right. Sirius lost his homework at least once a week, and always ended up redoing it. Lily had never seen any of the other boys lift so much as a finger to help him find it either. She knows Remus is cursing James in his head right now, because of course, the lost homework excuse was definitely thought up by James. Lucky for Remus, not even 5 seconds after Lily's remark, their data professor walked into the classroom. She watched Remus visibly relax and proceed to pull out his textbook and quill. Lily left it at that. No need to stress him out more. The two scribbled down notes as the professor lectured. The professor this year did less hands-on activity than their previous one, and turned in their homework at the end of class. Unsurprisingly, they were assigned homework again. Lily shouldn't complain because it was newt level, but she was taking 5 newts. It would be nice if their homework was to fucking relax. Remus and Lily collected their books and went to the back of the classroom, where the rest of the boys and Molly were sitting. The rest of the class was filing out of the room, except for their 4 friends. They seemed to be in an animated conversation when Lily and Remus got there. Remus did not seem to care though, as he grabbed Sirius's hand and started to tug. Everyone still in the room, even the fucking professor, had left by now, knew that Remus was always hungry and did not play around when it came to meal times. Sirius glanced at Remus and immediately remembered. "Alright, let's continue this over lunch. My Mooney is hungry," Sirius interrupted, standing up and sawing together his things. Everyone followed suit, mostly clearing the tables of their things, and they all walked to the Great Hall for lunch. Lily fell back with Marlene a bit, creating a safe distance between them and the boys, so they could talk about the map. Their excuse for the frantic searching on Saturday was looking for Sirius's missing homework. Lily smirked. "Really? Sirius loses his homework every week," Molly started to giggle. "Exactly," Lily trolled. "Guessing it was James's idea, the pathetic excuse?" Marlene asked. "Definitely." This is one of the many reasons why she and Marlene are friends. They think exactly alike. The 2 girls followed the group of boys into the Great Hall and sat across from them. Mary eventually joined them, and sitting by Marlene. The 4 boys continued their conversation while the girls had a conversation of their own. They talked about everything and anything. It was a bit hard to find a topic to talk about for 30-ish minutes since they saw each other all the time. Lunch passed as usual and they all went off to their classes, except for Marlene and Mary, who headed to the dorm since they were off. Lily had astronomy next. She loved astronomy, but it was a bit complicated sometimes. The astronomy tower was a long walk from the Great Hall. Lily had to weave through a shit ton of students to get there after lunch. She walked into class expecting nothing unusual, which should be expected. It was just astronomy. She went there twice a week and sat at her spots in the front alone, where she jotted down copious notes. Nothing exciting ever happened in that class. Ever. Until now. Sat in the back of the class was none other than Pandora. Now, you may be asking, how is Lily noticing this just now? In March. None of Lily's friends had taken astronomy, so she knew no one in her class. That meant she never paid any attention to who was in her class. Meaning, she would have never noticed the beautiful girl sitting in the back of the class alone, fiddling with her wand and floating an origami bird. Pandora glanced up and waved at Lily from their conversation From their conversation yesterday, Lily knew the spot next to her was free, so Lily made her way to the back of the classroom and sat right next to Pandora. What can she say? Having company is never a bad thing. Most of the time. "Have you been in this class all year? I thought you were a 6th year," Lily asked. "Yeah, I've been here practically all year. I already know a lot about astronomy, so they put me in with the 7th years," Pandora smiled, still floating the origami bird above their heads. "Oh, okay." The worst part of all of this is that Lily could no longer blame Remus for not telling her about Pandora. The girl had been sitting in the back of the astronomy classroom all year, and Lily did not notice her until now. Eventually, Pandora floated the bird down and gently placed it in her pocket. "Have you thought of what we are going to do with the map next?" Pandora asked, turning to look at Lily. Lily never thought it could be so hard to keep eye contact with someone. Not yet. I don't have much free time to think about stuff like that," Lily replied. Pandora nodded her head and started a glance around the classroom. "I'm excited to plan another one. My friend said they enjoyed our last one." Lily's eyes grew wide. There was no way the girl did what Lily thought she did. "Did you tell them it was us?" Lily asked, trying to sound casual and not like how she was actually feeling, which was completely and utterly panicked. "Of course, I tell my friends everything," Pandora chirped. The girl seemed to notice The girl seemed to notice Lily's silence and spoke up again. "Don't worry, Lily. They won't tell anyone." Lily felt a little better at those words. The Slytherins probably wouldn't rat them out, since Pandora was with them. At least, she hopes they won't. She'd rather not lose her position as head girl when the year was very close to being over. The two girls chatted for a few minutes, which was a miracle. Was it mostly about astronomy? Yes, but progress is progress. Talking to Pandora was one of the most difficult things Lily has ever done. She's not exactly sure why. The astronomy professor walked in, and the class went silent. He placed a stack of papers he was holding onto his desk and turned around to face the students. "Alright, students, out of class time, you and a partner will be mapping the night sky," the professor announced. There was a chorus of groans from the whole class. "You will need to map at least 10 visible constellations. Make sure you include any important ones we have talked about, the major stars and planets, as well as label them all, of course." A student raised their hand and the professor gave them a glance before speaking up again. "Before one of you moans and groans about how we did this last semester, we are doing this again so you are familiar with the night sky in the other half of the year." The girl dropped her hand and rolled her eyes. "Right," the professor clapped his hands and glanced around. "All of you will partner up with whoever is sitting at your table. If you sit alone, find someone else who sits alone." The few other people who sat alone found each other and moved desks. The professor made sure everyone was partnered up and started his lecture. Lily and Pandora shared one of their textbooks, so as to not take up all of the desk room, and wrote their notes. The lecture was relatively short, and their professor let them go early. The two girls walked out of the astronomy tower and were headed in no particular direction. "So, do you want to map the sky Sunday night? We can map Saturday too if you think we need 2 days," Lily offered. This project wasn't hard per se, she just had no time to spend mapping the sky except for weekends. And even then, she would have to go very late at night, like past curfew late. Her mountains of work took up the first half of the night. Just Sunday is fine with me," Pandora nodded. Lily, going from not knowing Pandora was in her astronomy class to being her partner on a project, was causing her whiplash. She thought she would only see Pandora when they were planning and doing pranks, not even classes. "We'll have to go after curfew, if that's fine with you. You won't have to worry about getting in trouble. Filch can't get mad at me wandering around these days." "Okay," Pandora smiled. "Want to go do astronomy homework in the library before dinner?" Lily asked. There wasn't much to do before dinner, and getting their work done would benefit her later. Yep. Pandora started to slowly lead them in the direction of the library. The two girls walked side by side in the silent halls, Pandora staring at her feet and dragging them along the floor. Pandora was an interesting girl, to say the least. She was like a puzzle. And Merlin. Lily loves puzzles. Okay, thanks for listening.